Abdul Carter might be the top overall pick in this NFL draft. But what makes him special? I'm here to tell you. Howdy, I'm Ben Solak. Let's talk a little 2025 NFL draft, starting with my big board. A couple things to highlight on my board. First is that Travis Hunter is my #1 prospect by a mile. When we talk generational players in this class, it's Travis Hunter and nobody else. I have him as a corner in this class. I think most teams will have him as a corner in this class, but whoever ends up drafting him is going to talk about him as a two-way player in the press conference and then probably end up playing him most of the time at corner in the NFL. It's a lot easier to be impactful as like a full-time corner, rotational wide receiver than it is to be impactful the other way as a full-time receiver and then rotational corner. Also of interest on my board, you'll notice I have Michigan tight end Colston Loveland as tight end 1 over Penn State's Tyler Warren, who's tight end 2. They're both great. They're both first-round prospects. I love them both. However, Loveland to me has that like 90th percentile elite movement skills, the sort of thing that makes Brock Bowers, Trey McBride. Like if you're gonna run a passing game through your tight end, he needs to move and catch and run after the catch like Colston Loveland does. That's why he's tight end 1 for me. Now, on to our riser this week, Alabama linebacker Jihad Campbell. We have not seen a true off-ball linebacker go top 10 since 2020, when Clemson's Isaiah Simmons was 8th overall for the Cardinals. And we still might not. Campbell's not a lock to go top 10. He's also not a lock to be a true off-ball linebacker. That's where he played at Alabama, but he had some really good reps off the edge, not dissimilar to how Micah Parsons was coming out of Penn State when he went 12th overall in the 2021 draft. It sounds like the league wants to draft Campbell as an off-ball linebacker, play him there all the time, and then occasionally move him onto the line of scrimmage as a sub-package rusher. That's good news for Campbell. It makes the most sense for his size and his explosiveness. It also gives him a very high ceiling in the NFL. He hasn't spent a lot of time at off-ball linebacker. He's going to start seeing it a little quicker and playing a lot better the more experience he gets. Campbell had a great combine for those drills in which he participated, right? 4.52 40-yard dash, 10.7 broad jump, nice. But it's the tracking data that really shows where the magic lies. In all the on-field drills that they do where they're moving through the bags, going back and forth, NGS tracks the miles per hour on these guys, and Campbell was, in all drills, one of the fastest movers on the field. This sort of athlete, at the linebacker position, in not a top-heavy class, chance to go top 10. Now, onto a faller. Arizona wide receiver Taro McMillan. I feel like Tet McMillan's been the wide receiver 1 of the 2025 class like the whole process, but that doesn't mean anything if he doesn't stay that until April. On Mel Kiper's big board post-NFL Combine, McMillan fell from 13th to 19th, putting him only 1 spot above Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka as a wide receiver 2, and only 2 spots over Texas's Matthew Golden, who's now wide receiver 3 after running a 4.29 40-yard dash at the Combine. The Combine, and in general athletic testing, is the big deal for McMillan here. He's 6'4", 219 pounds. Big fella. But the thing about big fellas playing receiver is that they don't separate as well as some of the smaller guys, like Egbuka, like Golden, like Missouri's Luther Burden. Instead, McMillan wins more by being physical through his routes and then dominant at the catch point, which is a viable way to win at the NFL level. He gets a lot of like Drake London comparisons coming out of USC, but it does bring into question some of his athleticism. McMillan didn't do any drills at the NFL Combine, and Arizona doesn't currently list him as a participant for the Big 12 Pro Day coming up, which means we might not get any athletic testing for McMillan at all. Now, there could be a couple reasons for this. McMillan might be so sure that he's going to be a first-round pick that he doesn't want to waste time doing training for inherently not football testing and then suddenly accrue an injury, right? He might already have a minor injury and he's not trying to aggravate it with testing. It also might be the case that his testing numbers won't be as good as you would expect of a round 1 receiver, and if he puts them out there, it's going to put that status into question. I personally love McMillan. The top 10 player on my board, he's wide receiver 1. I think he's going to be great. However, it has been a little bit of a fall for him during the NFL Combine. Now, let's break down a play. Abdul Carter, Penn State edge rusher, 3rd overall on my board, might be the 1st overall pick. Let's watch him work. Rushing off the offense's left against Donovan Jackson, who's going to be an early pick for Ohio State, but he plays usually on the interior. How to play left tackle for this game. And if I have a guard playing tackle, I want to rush him on the outside, right, on the high side. I want to get around him, challenge his ability to get to that landmark right on his outside shoulder. Carter's the best in the class at doing this. And the first reason is because of the first step. It's because of the initial quickness. I want you to watch how much ground he picks up on those first 3 steps right there, right? He's already now challenging that outside shoulder. He's going to throw hands now, and Carter's hand usage isn't great. And that's like good news, because if he's this good now, and he kind of usually misses with his hands here, right? Like he does not disconnect Jackson at either point. If he's bad with his hands now, imagine how good he'd be when his hands are good. But okay, 2-hand swipe, and he misses. The good news is that he's gotten so far upfield on Jackson already that he's cleared him, right? He's now past him. What you have to do at this point, and this is the challenge for all these speed rushers, who they win upfield, and then they get pushed, and they end up getting pushed just past the peak of the pocket, right? Quarterback steps up, and now you're behind the guy. It's not been effective. What you have to be able to do is flatten the rush. We got to be able to pull this corner tight and then get to the quarterback. We have to flatten that angle. Carter is so stinking good at this because he's extremely flexible and he's strong, and so he can survive contact and keep pushing through. And then look at firstly this angle to the ground. Look at that's so stupid. Look at the angle that his shin is at relative to the ground right now. So think about how hard it is to keep your balance coming around the corner like this. So that's already dumb. But what's the elite thing? What's the thing that maybe gets you drafted 1 overall is the fact that at this body angle, right? It looks like he could be running underneath the table right now. He's still going to gain ground on Howard. It only takes him 2 steps. 1, 2 to get to the quarterback. So the way, again, he's able to explode out of the line of scrimmage, right? All right. We're fast through here. And then swipe the hands, get to the corner, and then the explosion here to get to the quarterback before Howard can adjust. That's really special. Again, flattening the rush. We call that cornering ability, getting around this corner here at full speed. Watch how quickly. Past him, and then explode into the quarterback. Take him down. That's Abdul Carter. So as most of the free agent dust has settled, Field Yates looked at the top 10 picks and tried to figure out, okay, how did free agency affect these spots? Who do we expect to go where? And he made a pick that I think everybody and their mom is going to be making by the time we get to late April. That's Boise State running back Ashton Genty at 6 to the Raiders. The Raiders, of course, traded for Geno Smith during the opening of the new league year, and that solved the quarterback issue for a team that was potentially the QB2 spot, right? Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, whoever that ends up being. Now that Geno's in the building, all eyes turn to Genty because the Raiders have tons of holes and they just need star players. They need franchise cornerstones. Genty might be that caliber of guy. It's also worth noting that new Raiders head coach Pete Carroll has always been an establish the run dude, and in Seattle, his run establisher was Marshawn Lynch, a big bruising back of whom Genty is in a similar mold. Also of note, new Raiders offensive coordinator is Chip Kelly, who's always been known for his innovative running game designs. Right now, the Raiders backfield is free agent Raheem Mostert, 2022 4th round pick Zamir White, 2024 6th round pick Dylan Laube, and then 2022 UDFA Sincere McCormick. White, Laube, and McCormick were the backfield last year, and the Raiders were one of the worst running offenses in football, so the starter isn't hiding there. That means running back is one of the biggest needs on the roster, and Genty at 6 accordingly is in play. It would be the earliest a running back's been drafted since Saquon Barkley, 2nd overall in 2018. And Genty isn't exactly a Saquon Barkley, but in a class that doesn't have a lot of elite talent, he's more than deserving of a top 10 pick.